Let's turn with me to the book of Proverbs, chapter 11. We are going to continue a series on uprooting rejection. We're looking at the principle of rejection, how it forms roots under the surface and affects people in many ways. And the point of this is we're believing God for supernatural deliverance and the power of the truth to set people free. Today we're going to look at a thought, and that is how rejection affects your money. And let's consider this from Proverbs chapter 11. We're going to read our main verse, which is 24 through 26.
There is one who scatters, yet increases more, and there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. The people will curse him who withholds grain, but blessing will be on the head of him who sells it. Okay, rejection and money. Let's begin our first thought. We're going to talk about money and emotions. So, money is more than math. It helps to be able to count. If you want to keep track of your money, that's a good thing. Money is not just data. Money is not just needs and bills. Okay, I'm going to make a statement. This is the foundation of this whole lesson. Money is emotional. You should write that down, get a tattoo, because it'll help you. I am kidding. Money is emotional. I know some of you are thinking, I know, because when a bill comes, my money cries. That is not what I'm talking about. Okay, think about, here's the two statements that forms the basis of this lesson. Number one, you make money choices based on how you feel inside already. That's what that means. Money is emotional. Whatever emotions are in you, it literally affects what you choose concerning money. The second statement is what you do with money produces emotion. It makes you feel certain ways. So money is more than just how much you make, what your bills are, how much you have saved. Money is emotional. So what does this have to do with rejection? This is our series. Rejection produces emotion. We've looked at this in numbers of different ways. When you are rejected, you get a message of rejection. That is not just information. When someone lets you know that you do not have value, that you are not wanted, you're not loved, that's not just information that you file away in the mental filing cabinet. It produces things. And we've looked at this in various ways. It produces pain, confusion, worthlessness, shame, anger, all kinds of emotions. In this series, we're dealing with things that can be under the surface. Those emotions can be buried under the surface. So, the reason why that is important is emotions affect your viewpoint. Whatever you feel ultimately is going to change what you see or how you see things. And so what we're looking at today, we're applying this in one simple area, and that is what you feel inside changes how you view money. That is very, very important that you understand that. So, the text that we read, and we're going to read it again in just a moment, it answers two basic questions about money. Number one, what is the purpose of money? Why do people have money? What is it supposed to be for? And secondly, how is money to be used? Let's read our verse again, Proverbs 11, 24 through 26.
There is one who scatters, yet increases more. There is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. The people will curse him who withholds grain, but blessing will be on the head of him who sells it.
Okay, this scripture is talking about different viewpoints of money. Scattering, generosity, withholding, refusing. And so this is a purpose, a tool to help you for the future, generosity to bless other people, or is it all about you? So now rejection. So as I said, when people have received a message of rejection from anyone in their life in the past, now this is going to work out in how they view money, what is the purpose of money, and how should I use money. So think about this. Here's the first area. Let's talk about rejection and withholding, because that's what our text talks about. Is some people, their view of money is withhold, do not let it go. This, of course, is based on fear. For some people, their view of money, how they view it, it is absolutely connected to fear. That can be for various reasons. Perhaps it is that you grew up in poverty. People who grew up in abject poverty, they look at money differently. Maybe it is that when you were younger, money caused turmoil in your family. The lack of money, a loss of job, it was a fear, things were repossessed. You had to constantly move or an inability to eat or to pay bills. That's what you grew up with, so that produces fear. Others of you, you grew up in an atmosphere of conflict over money. The number one thing that people fight about in marriage is often money. So some of you, this is what you saw. You saw your parents' absolute constant battles over spending, not making enough money, not working. It was money. So what does that do to a person raised in poverty, raised in turmoil over money? It produces in some people an obsession with security. I don't want to feel like that, so I have to take care of the future in an obsession. Listen, taking care of the future is good. That is a wise thing. The Bible talks about that. I am not talking about using wisdom to take care of the future, which the Bible talks about, but people that this is based on absolute fear. I have to take care of the future, not simply because that's wise, not because you're providing. Proverbs 6, the ant takes care, winter's coming. But some people, it is all about the past. The fear that is unhealed inside of them. I don't ever want to feel like that. I don't ever want to be in the position that my parents were in, so it then becomes an obsession. Look at Old Testament scripture, Exodus 32, 23 and 24.
The people said to me, Moses, lead us out of Egypt, but we don't know what has happened to them. Make us gods who will lead us. So I told the people, take off your gold jewelry. When they gave me the gold, I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf.
Okay, this is an ancient story. Some of you, I don't know if you have any golden calves at home, but this principle is actually up to date. Okay, we are afraid of the future. Moses hasn't shown up. It's 40 days. We don't know where he went. So we're afraid of the future. So what we need is we need to secure the future. And what do they use to secure the future in their minds? Gold. Money. And they make a god of gold. This is the problem. When money is approached in an unhealthy way, it becomes a god.
But the reason why people want money gods is often they're afraid. I don't want to feel like I felt in the past. I don't want to wind up like my parents. So this becomes an obsession, and our text says they withhold. If that's how you approach money and life, this kind of person, sometimes they will struggle to tithe, to obey God in the first 10% of their income. They will struggle to start tithing. Here it is, they've grown up, you got to withhold, you got to take care. They get saved, and then they hear preachers like, do what? Give away? Why would I do that? Because if I give away, I will have less. So they struggle to start tithing. For other people, it's not the starting that is the problem. Every time the pastor preaches, is like, yes, I'm going to tithe, until a bill comes. A bill comes, so they stop. Because what if I don't have enough? This kind of heart sometimes will struggle to obey God and give. If you live for God, there will be specific points in time God will tell you to give, whether that's in an offering, a conference, to another person. God will speak to you, but some people, they struggle with that thought. Our text says, withhold. What if I give it away and I don't have enough for later? So now what they say is, God is going to put me in the position that my parents were in. God is going to put me in the position I was in as a kid. No. So they reject that. So this kind of person, they struggle with obedience. A person who is dominated by fear hates to spend. For some of you, you can't relate. That's a foreign species, but there are people who hate to spend money because it's all about the future. If we spend, I won't have enough. Proverbs 11:24.
There is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty.
Okay, withholding more than is right or more than is necessary. Listen, if money is causing conflict with those you love, there's a problem. Okay, it's going to be marriage, family, friends. Now, I am not talking about surprise spending. This is very common. Conflict in marriage is husband or wife, they make major financial decisions without consultation. It's like, you went to the store and you bought a boat? That is a problem. You should consult that because that's a value. You didn't include me, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I'm not talking about that. There are people that if there is even the suggestion, you know what, the house is falling down, maybe we should, and their spouse, there is an intense reaction. What? Freaking out. That's a problem. There's something wrong. You know, we should spend. We've saved. We got to stockpile. Maybe we should buy something and enjoy it. No. Maybe we should do something. For some people, the idea of spending money. Listen, if money is causing intense emotional reactions with the people you love, there's a problem. If you're making everyone in the family suffer because you are terrified to spend, that's not a math question. It's not data. Remember my statement in the beginning? Money is emotional. The extreme version of fear is hoarding. There are people that their house is jam-packed. Their yard, their backyard is jam-packed with junk.
And you say, no, it's good stuff. It's junk. It's broken. It's worthless. I can't let go of this stuff. What if I need that later? If it's been 29 years and you haven't used it yet, there's never, you have stuff you've forgotten you have. But this makes sense. But if I have it in the backyard, it's 29 feet tall, that pile there. What if I need it? Buy another one. It's only worth $3. Right? I could sell that for $17.50, the whole lot. It would cost you more to get someone to get rid of all the junk. So, but this becomes an obsession. I understand. I've never seen one, but I understand there's TV shows about this. In our church, Amador has a contract. I don't remember which government agency. They contact him when they have an extreme hoarder, and it's to the point of being unhealthy. They pay him to come in, probably with a hazmat suit, and clean out. This is unreasonable. I'm not talking about you have a Monet painting in the back room. Hoarders. I read a book about hoarding, and it talked about people, they're keeping fast food containers, takeaway food containers, wrapping paper, because you never know. That's not math. That's emotion. So, withholding, the Bible says, that is how some people view money, is they withhold. Now, some of you, that's not your problem at all, is it? Let's talk about the other manifestation of rejection of money. That's rejection and spending. Some of you can't relate, like, what kind of sick person would hold on to money? Because you view money very differently, but it's still emotional. Some people, they view money as a way to fix the negative emotions they feel inside. Remember what I said? Some people, the emotion inside causes them to make decisions. Other people, they're trying to fix those emotions because money makes them feel certain ways. Think about this. Some people use money as a drug. It's a drug. It is. Why do people drink or take drugs? Sometimes to escape problems. Some of you, your problem is not alcohol. Your problem is not meth. Your problem is shopping. I'm sad. I'm stressed. I'm going shopping. Because my problems go away, whether that is going to the store, going to the mall, or going online. That's the problem these days, that you never have to leave your house. Is for a while, it's the thrill. Do you understand this? Buying stuff produces the same chemicals that drugs produce. Dopamines, feel-good chemicals. It's the same. How could that person be an addict? Ho, 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 ho. Wrecking the family through their whoa, look at this. And you're online. Ding, click. You're the same. You're an addict. Exactly the same way. Do you understand? Shopping is every bit as addictive as alcohol and drugs. Some of you, you could not go through a few days without shopping because you're addicted just like any other addict. Other people, they view money, or they use money as medicine. The idea of medicine is to heal, right? You're in pain, I take pills, whatever it is. Some people in rejection, they have negative emotions. Rejection is
an assault on your worth, your value as a human being. We've looked at this in different ways. So someone gave you the message that you are not loved, you have no value, I don't want you in my life. So some people now, because they have a worth or a value deficit, they use buying things to try and produce a feeling of value. We live in a strange world where people wear the labels of their clothes on the outside. Right? Because it's not enough to buy something of quality, is you want people to know what brand you are wearing. Because this is a worth issue. I know people that you get in conversation, you know what brand their suit is? It's like, I don't care. You're wearing it, not me. You know my shoes? You know who made these? It doesn't matter. Listen, if you're wearing nice shoes, you're not worth any more than someone who's barefoot. It didn't change your value. But you don't understand, these are Prada, Jimmy Choo. I buy a car of worth, so this changes my value. This is one of the huge mistakes of people in their purchasing, is they're not buying. I believe in buying quality things. I learned a long time ago, I can buy a cheap thing and buy it 3 times, or I can buy something good. I believe in, I don't live by the principle of junk in life. But what you buy doesn't change your value. Listen, if you are a short, balding, overweight nerd, and you buy a really nice car, you didn't grow. You don't have any more hair. You didn't lose weight. You didn't get cooler. You are a short, balding, overweight nerd with a nice car. That's it. Nothing changed. But this is the mistake of people. Listen, I pastored in Africa. I saw people that were struggling to eat, and they would go and spend an entire month's salary on a pair of shoes. That doesn't make sense. No one cares. Because they're not buying shoes, they thought they were buying worth. And that is a terrible, terrible mistake. So, if you're using money to produce emotions, or you're trying to fix emotions, you know what probably is going to be the outcome of your money use? Debt. You will spend more than makes sense because you are trying to fix something. Money is emotional. You have to understand this. This is why it's more than math. Math helps. If you make $600 a week, do you know how much you can spend every week? $600. That's it. Or if you make 1,000, or you make 500, 300, I don't care how much you make. If you spend more than you make, you're in trouble. And the reason why that people spend more than they make is often not because, it's like, my daughter needed brain surgery, so I had to. That's not why. It's because you were buying stuff to impress people. You were buying stuff because you were depressed. So you got into debt. Money is emotional. Final thought on that is that money
Some people use money as competition. There's a saying we have in English, keeping up with the... Who are those Joneses? we gotta talk to them. It is a competition. This is how people view money. It's not just, I'm not buying it because I need it. Some people, how they view money is, if I have more than you, if I have something better than you, I have worth, and I am worth more than you. I think I've told before, but Lisa and I, we moved in 97 to Johannesburg, South Africa. Because of the exchange rate, we were paying for rent. I think it was only like $300 something. It was the cheapest rent we had paid since we got married years before. But you choose in South Africa because of security. We're living in a cluster complex. Everything is about security. That means 37 houses on a common ground with 10-foot high walls, 10,000 volt wiring, and security guards, because it's so dangerous there. So I was not raised with money. With Lisa wasn't raised with a lot of money. So we were now, to us, the exchange rate, we're paying in American dollars. To us, it's cheap, but we were put with people who they now had money. And what was fascinating, where we lived, it kind of was a slope. Our house was like the second highest house, so I could see the other houses from my upstairs window. And I said to Lisa, you know what? I think our neighbors are competing. Like the guy 3 doors down, he would drive in with a brand new BMW. A few days later, this neighbor would come in with a BMW convertible. This guy installed a pool in his yard. So this guy installs a pool with a fancy slide. And I say, I think they're competing. And said, nah, maybe it's just coincidence. We were hauling equipment back and forth in the church. It was beating up the cars, so I asked Pastor Mitchell, can we buy a small trailer to haul the equipment so it doesn't beat up the car? He said, yeah. I bought a plain little trailer so that we had a cover so you could lock it. Remember, security. I came home with this trailer. The next week, my neighbor who lived across the street from me, he brought home a brand new double axle trailer with a nice paint job. Maybe he needed this, but this is how some people view money. It's emotional. I can't let you have something nicer than me, and that is an unhealthy way to approach money. So let's talk about a second area, then we'll open it up in a minute. Let's talk about money and a poverty mentality. If rejection is someone's opinion of your worth or your value, and you got that opinion from other people, you didn't decide that on yourself, someone else told you or gave you the message in some way, you're no good, you're worthless in some way, that becomes especially destructive when you agree with that opinion. We've talked about it in other ways. People spend their lives fighting against that idea. Some people don't fight. They accept that and they say, yes, that's who I am. Yes, I am. I am worth less or worthless, have no value. This can play out, and this doesn't apply to every person in the world or every person that doesn't have money. Some people accepting the message of rejection plays out in how they view money. So think about two manifestations. Number one is the guilt syndrome. If you got the message in life, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never be anything. But then in life, there are people, they wind up getting money. They got a good job, or there was an inheritance in some way, money came. And so now all of a sudden, I can afford to buy decent things. I'm doing well in my job. I'm doing well in my business. If you don't resolve rejection, remember that is under the surface, this produces turmoil. On the one hand, I was told that I have no value, but now all of a sudden I am succeeding and I can afford things of value. This produces inner conflict. And so what some people, they come to this unhealthy conclusion, I shouldn't have this. I don't deserve this. Look at this, we can afford to buy what we want. We live in a nice house, I drive a nice car. I shouldn't have that. Proverbs 10:22.
The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it.
Okay, this is a profound verse. The Bible says, when God blesses you, there is no sorrow that comes with it. In other words, it doesn't torment you. People who don't deal with rejection and their basic worth, when they do receive blessings, they don't enjoy them. It might be because of fear, like, okay, everything's going well. You feel like Wile E. Coyote, when is the anvil going to fall on my head? Or I have known people that they feel compelled to give their good things away. I think I told you in a previous lesson, Lisa and I used to go to church in Australia with a guy that occasionally his roommates would come home and they would find all of his stuff in the trash. He bought sunglasses because he drove in the sun all day. He bought nice sunglasses that really protected his eyes, but then he would feel guilty. I don't need these nice so he would throw them away. He'd buy clothes, feel guilty, so he would throw it away because he had got a message that you don't deserve that. I have known people that they sabotage their blessing. They get a good job, and then all of a sudden they miss work for a week. Or they punch somebody out on the job and lose their job. It's like, but that happens over and over again. Sometimes it's because they don't feel right being able to make this money and have good things. That's the guilt syndrome. And then the second is the poverty syndrome. If you do not believe that you have worth and value, it's very possible that how you live financially will wind up matching your opinion of yourself. This is why some people, everything they have is low class, broken junk. It is filthy. It is a mess. This is not a money issue. Okay, I don't know if you've ever known this. You look at some people, if you look at their vehicle, if you see their house, everything they own it will soon match their opinion of their worth. They have a poverty mentality. And I have known people that they actually have money, but they live like they don't. And it's well possible, remember my opening statement, money is emotional. Why don't you fix it? Why don't you clean it? Sometimes it is because that's how they view themselves. So here's the problem. People with a poverty mentality, see, the people who go to university and they get indoctrinated. They think the problem in the world is inequality. What we need to do is anybody who doesn't have nice stuff, we need to give them stuff. I used to work, before I was a pastor, I was a glazier. I'm a glazier by trade, working with glass. And we had a contract we had a housing commission contract, and that is that we would work on government housing. So I would observe something. There would be people who were like really, really poor. They were living in an absolute hovel. It was trashed. So, government, people who know everything, you know what we need to do? We need to give them a new house. So they would move them from their trashed hovel, and they would give them a brand new house. I would go to that house 3 months later, 6 months later, and their brand new house would be absolutely trashed, just like the trashed house they used to live in. Because their problem wasn't what they had or how much they were given. The problem is how they viewed themselves. And in short order, they made their possessions match their opinion internally. So this is why I'm teaching a lesson for some. This doesn't apply to everyone. I know that's an extreme. But this is something that needs to be healed. You have to heal how you view money. Okay, let's open for some questions or some comments. Bear, right over there.
Could you say another way of what you're saying this morning is that you can't use money to bring spiritual deliverance, especially from rejection?
No. That's why I'm teaching this to Christians. You can be saved and on your way to heaven, and yet have areas of your life that are not healthy spiritually, and that's true. Carol, up here.
One time in the Ruth Street Church, Pastor Wayman Mitchell was trying to make a point about money and how people view things. And he said, now how many of you in this assembly live in a dump? And I put my hand up and I looked around. There wasn't one person that had their hand up. I thought, that was long ago, so we've, lifted in success and so on. And it's like, I've been to your house. I know it's a dump. But the point is, I did live in a dump, but I didn't think that it described my character. Right. So God has helped me, but that's the way. You don't have to look at it that way. So yeah. I really have been appreciating the truth of all this lesson.
Yeah, and please, I don't want you to take what I'm saying about money as I think Pastor Greg is against poor people, okay? That is not, I've been poor, but that's not the point. I pastored in Africa. What was fascinating to me, we'd have people who they lived in a tin shack, but when they came to church, they never looked trashed. They dressed neatly. There was a basic dignity about them. Okay, so that wasn't a money issue. They were living absolute poverty. So this is something that comes from within. That's my point. It's not how much you make in life. Good. Somebody else. Betty?
So that's I asked Pastor if we can just jump to 12, but because he already finished like pretty much 2/3 of this, but the last 12 minutes was pretty much cool new information. But we have time.